of Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
multiverse fun. All right, so this actually ties into a couple of different things. You mentioned a little bit about some of the COVID money getting spent incorrectly, and there's a guy on YouTube that I watch that he literally exposes people that apparently a lot of the people who committed fraud with the money from COVID posted videos on YouTube bragging about the same thing. So, first of all, if you're going to fraud somebody, my suggestion is if you still live in that country, not to post anything on social media, YouTube, blogs, just anywhere. You might want to keep that silent. That's just an idea. But this guy his YouTube name is CoffeeZilla. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him at all,
No.
but some of the discussion that we're going to be talking about, Bitcoin, Luna, and some guru talk. He's actually the guy that I've been watching off and on over the past couple of years. That, you know, you're my in-person person that talks about this stuff, but he's the one that continues to find these weird correlations. And so most of my understanding of Bitcoin and NFTs outside of Matt Jensen comes from CoffeeZilla. And he's actually where I found out about what happened with Bitcoin and Luna this past week. I think that as great of a job that I could do explain it, and I think I could do a decent job. Matt, this is
You
your
should
area
do
of
it.
expertise.
You should do it. I'm not an expert, so especially at
uh,
stable coins.
all right. So Bitcoin, I know, has lost 50% of their money over the past week, and that's pretty crazy. However, Luna, which is a different type of crypto cash, they lost over $15 billion in cryptocurrency. Like, it was wiped away clean once the Terra, and I'm saying words I don't even understand, so maybe you'll be able to translate this. The Terra USD stablecoin collapsed. And to give an idea of how extreme this was, as recently as late April, a USD coin was $116. And then just this past Thursday, it went down to just over a penny. By the time this article on CNET came out, which was yesterday, yesterday evening, just a little bit over 24 hours ago, it had gone down to 1/8 of a cent. And my understanding is it's gone even more. Luna um, had fallen from, oh goodness, I don't have that specific number, but I'll say what's happened is kind of the example that I understand best that might explain this. It comes from an 80s and 90s example of credit cards. So when you got a credit card, there's a joke that runs, but people used to do this, that you would pay off one credit card with your other credit card, and then you would pay off a different credit card, and you'd just kind of have this revolving debt. And it seemed like things were getting done, but you would continue to, because you got pay a higher percentage from paying off from paying the credit card with another credit card, you're actually paying, you're losing value every time you pay off a credit card with a credit card. And so, and I don't remember all the specifics, but basically Luna was getting bought. It had fallen down to so Stablecoin had fallen down to 91 cents per coin, and a stable coin is always sold for $1 if you change it with cash. So when its value dropped to under $1 to 91 cents, people started trying to sell it to Luna coin to basically get it ended up being 90 cents at that point, a 10-cent profit on each of these millions of dollars. But there's a limit of $100 million per transaction per day, or sorry, a limit of $100 million per day in Luna coin that you can exchange out. So this caused kind of a echo effect where Luna basically was automatically losing money to pay off this other investment. So the way that most people would like to probably describe this is you worked really hard for your first paycheck, and all of a sudden you get it, and there's all these taxes and things you've never heard of, like FICA. What in the world's FICA? that comes out of your paycheck, and what? Why I worked like 10 hours for, we'll say my minimum wage of $4.25 an hour. I should be getting $42.50, and I got $20. That's not fair.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like what it is, except the difference is it wasn't going to something to support something else. Like you weren't getting your Social Security down the line. You just got $20, and more closer to it, probably 10 cents for the $42 that you should have earned. And there's no going back. It's just wiped completely clean. And there's so many devastating effects of what this could mean, because Bitcoin specifically, and I want to say ethereal, but it's not ethereal. It's
Ethereum
Ethereum. Thank you.
or Ether.
Yeah, either. They are Bitcoin specifically more so than either, but they both lost a lot of money over the same time period. And we've talked a little bit on this show about the unstable market for Bitcoin, and this is not new, but this is the first time that money has been wiped away clean. It's not like somebody hacked into it and stole it. Like literally, there's over between all the different markets and stuff, approximately $40 billion. So what we're giving to Ukraine, $40 billion has been effectively just wiped clean, with no way of recovering that specific money back.
Yeah, I don't really know a lot about it. I think that one of the founder, Duwak, or is
Mm-hmm.
his name, right? Um,
Yeah.
so he was involved in another stablecoin that did similar things a year ago, but it was from an anonymous sort of thing. And I don't really know any about it or much about it.
Okay.
I did see one of my friends from high school post on, like, he runs a tech company that provides software developers, like
Mm-hmm.
in Eastern Europe and stuff like that, for like Bitcoin and blockchain startups and stuff like that. And
Right.
his he commented on this guy's post, and it was like, who's going to go to jail for this? And then the guy was like, wrote back something, the guy that wrote this long post, and then he was like, I doubt most people would understand the logic of your post. And it was just kind of like, it's the Wild West, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be either criminals or, when everything goes up, it kind of it's kind of like, it's easy to be a fund manager in a rising market, but during a crashing market, that's where you kind of show what's legit and what's not.
Right.
And it's, like a bridge, right? So you build a bridge, and if there's only people walking over it, it's you're not really testing the strength as if you had tons of semis driving over it and start
Right.
spin.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it. I think a lot of people are in it not because they understand what they're investing in or how it works. Sometimes I think that that's even concealed to a point,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people are in it because they see other people making money and they want to be rich.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
and that's historically not a good way to become rich unless it's, there's a lot of hard work going in there also.
Yeah. You mentioned the Wild Wild West, and I guess one of the things, I don't know why, but I never put the two together, even though these do play hand in hand. Part of the Wild Wild West is the gold rush. Like these are happening at the same time, and one of the things, people did gold. Hey, like, hey, we're going to move to the West to be able to try to mine for gold and stuff. And I think most people have heard of fool's gold, but the reason why it was called fool's gold, it wasn't just because they found it, but they were able to sell it as
Yeah.
gold to these people who would spend their life savings on this stuff. So it's kind of it very much has that similar, that Wild Wild West does really fit in multiple levels. It's not just people, no laws, but actually like people getting ripped off without actually realizing what they're spending. And I know that I've been one. I'm not against Bitcoin. I'm not against crypto, but it's one of those things that I don't understand, and I don't. All my understanding only leads to an inkling. So if you have money to burn and you want to try it out, go for it. But at the same time, I want people to be very careful when you jump into something that you don't understand. Um, you probably have to at least have the understanding that you might just lose whatever you put in there.
Yeah. I I pay a lot of attention to, I guess, media, how, like, whether that be kind of like independent media, so
Mm,
like opening YouTube and seeing what people are posting about, or like looking at Instagram.
right.
I think you can intuitively sense when stuff's getting a little too hot. You see people like making these it's so Alan Greenspan called it irrational exuberance. And it's this term where it's just like you're too exuberant about something and you make stupid decisions. Um, like I so I wrote in a Q4 investor letter basically that I thought Bitcoin and crypto was going to be about on par by the end of the year as it was in the beginning. And I think there were a lot of people that are like, Bitcoin's going to be worth 300,000 at the end of the year. But if you look back to 2008, I think 2008 Bitcoin specifically was worth about $500. So people that have bought Bitcoin at 500, and that's when it was at 50,000. That's 100 times their money in
Yeah.
just a couple of years.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of money to be made out of it, but it's when it's as volatile as it is and it hits that top, like it can move pretty quickly. And I think Bitcoin is down about 30% this month. And then Ether and some of the other less like Litecoin and stuff like that, I think is about 50% last time I checked. So I always like, I think Ethereum as a technology and stuff has a
Hmm.
lot of applications and it's more flexible than Bitcoin. But there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on in there too. And Valery Buterin, who was one of the founders of um, of Ethereum, he's really interesting to basically read about and listen to. But he had a profile in, I believe, Vanity Fair recently that I thought was really great. He was talking about Ethereum kind of balancing this thing between being what he views it as being is kind of like a decentralized web um, platform, and what it also does, which gives rise to all this crooked stuff. So, and Bitcoin, they're like the original gangster of the cryptocurrency market. So
Right.
I don't see it going anywhere, but I do obviously see that uh, there's like winners. There's kind of like the stable. It's kind of like your stock market. There's the
Right.
companies that print money by like making paper and stuff like that. That's boring or less boring than the other stuff, but it's going to be there for a long time. So